Dear students, today we are going to start a new topic of chromatography, that is HPLC. The full form of HPLC is High Performance Liquid Chromatography or High Pressure Liquid Chromatography. In this lecture, we will learn about the theory involved in the HPLC. We will learn about the resolution equation and the term involved in the resolution equation. So first of all, let's understand what is HPLC, why this is known as high performance liquid chromatography, and how this chromatography is superior than your normal liquid chromatography. As I already told you that H is stand for high, P is for performance, L is for liquid, and C is for chromatography. Now this should be clear that it is just a type of liquid chromatography that is advanced in terms of highly sophisticated instrument. Now let's recall what is liquid chromatography. This liquid chromatography is a basic type of chromatography in which the mixture of components has been separated in between solid stationary phase and liquid mobile phase on the basis of their affinity towards stationary and mobile phase. In liquid chromatography, generally we use glass matrix column and the mobile phase run only under the influence of gravitational force. But in case of high performance chromatography, we have used external pressure to speed up the mobile phase, and in this way we can get maximum result or maximum resolution in minimum time. This is actually the demand of HPLC. The requirement of HPLC means we will get better resolution or maximum resolution in a limited time or in a short period of time. So, what are the prerequisites to understand the theory of HPLC? I assume that you people have knowledge of relative polarity. Okay, suppose I am telling you that I am going to use hexane in a chromatographic system, and then after 5 to 6 fraction, I will change the mobile phase from hexane to chloroform. So it should be clear to you that we are actually increasing the polarity of our mobile phase. Okay, suppose I am going to use acetonitrile throughout the process, it means we are running a isocratic type of mobile phase chromatography in which I am using a polar solvent, right? You must know what is normal phase chromatography, what is reverse phase chromatography, what is isocratic mobile phase, what is gradient mobile phase. Suppose I am telling you that at the start of the chromatographic process, I have used 100% hexane, and up to the completion of the process, I have used the same mobile phase. It means this should be clear to you that we are using an isocratic type of mobile phase, and if we are changing the composition of our mobile phase in a particular order, it means we are using the gradient mobile phase. Okay, suppose I told you that in our chromatographic process, I have used the stationary phase which is more polar than the mobile phase. It means this should be clear to you that we are using a normal phase chromatography. Okay, and suppose I am telling you that I am using non-polar stationary phase relative to the mobile phase. It means we are using the reverse phase chromatography. So these terms should be very much clear to you to understand the theory involved in the resolution. Okay. Now, you also know the concept of hydrophobicity and hydrophilicity. As the name indicated, hydro means water, phil means philicity means love towards water. The component which are water living are known as the hydrophilic component, and the component or the compound which repel water or which hates water, and you can say the compounds that have phobia from the water, that is known as the hydrophobic component. Okay, now the basic components of liquid chromatography, like what is plate theory, what is rate theory, what is stationary phase, these terms should be clear to you to understand the theory of HPLC. Now let's have a recap of chromatography. If I ask you to define chromatography, you can define chromatography as an analytical technique that is used to separate and identify the mixture of components which have been separated in between the stationary and mobile phase depends on their affinity towards stationary and mobile phase. The stationary phase in any chromatographic system may be either solid or liquid, whereas the mobile phase may be gas or liquid. This should be very clear to you that stationary phase can never be gas and the mobile phase can never be solid. Now, what are the aims of today's lecture? First aim is to introduce and explain the concept of chromatographic resolution, that is denoted by RS. Then to define the resolution equation and illustrate its dependence on the chromatographic parameters such as detention factor, that is denoted by small k, selectivity denoted by alpha, and the efficiency denoted by capital N. Then to define the detention factor, selectivity and efficiency in the chromatography and show how each can be determined and optimized. Then after to interactively demonstrate how each of these parameters may be manipulated to optimize the chromatographic resolution, that is actually the aim of HPLC. And at the end of this session, you will be able to understand and optimize the main chromatographic parameters, that is retention factor, selectivity, efficiency. You people will be able to explain and demonstrate the concept of peak asymmetry and will be able how to practically improve chromatographic separation when you actually work on chromatographic systems. Now, with the help of this animation, we will try to understand what is resolution in chromatography. So, what is the need to understand resolution? Okay, at the start of the lecture, I already told you that the objective of HPLC is to get better resolution in minimum time. So, we should understand what is resolution. Okay, suppose if I ask you to define resolution in terms of your mobile phone. Okay, you generally use the term this mobile phone has a better resolution. Okay, so what is resolution? The resolution in terms of that mobile phone is the capability of lens to distinguish the two objects which are situated very close to each other. Okay, similarly in chromatography, if we are talking about the resolution, it means the capability of instrument to chemically distinguish the two chemicals or two components which have same detention time, almost same detention time, not same, because the detention time is a specific character of any chemical component, so that has almost same detention time and the peaks obtained in a chromatographic column will be situated very close to each other. And if our component or the HPLC system have better resolution, the system will be able to chemically distinguish the two peaks which are very much close to each other. Okay, so let's understand this with the help of this animation. See, this is a graph, time and response. Resolution in chromatography means the degree of separation of compound. This is expressed in terms of detention time and the peak width. These peaks are actually the presence of different components. If two peaks have weights W1 and W2 and the respective retention times are T1 and T2, then the resolution of the two peaks will be I is equal to 2T2 minus T1 by W1 plus W2, where W1 and W2 are the peak width at the half height. When two components in the sample are poorly resolved or peak overlap to an extent that makes identification and determination of the component impossible, resolution can be improved by changing the temperature, decreasing height of the column or increasing the number of plates. Now coming to the resolution. The most important thing in HPLC is to obtain the optimum resolution in the minimum time. And the value should be 1.5 or greater than 1.5 between two peaks, This value will ensure that the sample components are well separated to a degree at which the area or height of each peak may be accurately measured. Okay, suppose you have plotted two peaks on a graph paper which are very much close to each other, and then you have to find out the height or peak area of each peak. Okay, and as I already told you that peaks are very much close to each other, then you will face the difficulty to find out the actual height and area of that peak. Means there should be a clear separation of peak to get the measurement of that peak. That is actually the resolution. If the value is lesser than 1.5, it means the components are not well separated at the baseline. So let's have a description of resolution equation. You can see here we can write down resolution equation by using two methods. The first method is Rs is equal to Tr2 minus Tr1 divided by Wb1 plus Wb2 by 2, and the second method is T2 Tr2 minus Tr1 divided by Wb1 plus Wd2. Okay. Now let's understand this point, then we will discuss what is this Tr2, what is this Tr1 and all. Okay, the resolution is calculated using the separation of two peaks in terms of their average peak width at the base, where Tr2 is greater than Tr1. Tr2 is actually the retention time of compound 2 and Tr1 is the retention time of compound 1. See, I have already shown you in an animation. On the x-axis, we generally take the time. Okay, suppose we are running a HPLC column and we will get two peaks. The first peak we will get at this time. Suppose this is 4 to 5, 4.2, 4.4. Okay, we will get this peak at 4.4 minute and this peak by 4.6 minute. Okay, so Tr1 is the resolution time or 4.6 minute for component 1 and 4.6 is the retention time of component 2. Okay, this is the retention time, the time that a component will give to a stationary phase, or the time after which the component will be evaluated from the mobile phase or from the column. Okay, in the case of two adjacent peaks, it may be assumed that the peak width at the base Wb1 is approximately equal to Wb2, and thus the width of the second peak may be substituted for the average value. That's why we have taken the average value of the peak width at the baseline Wb1 plus Wb2 by 2, where Wb1 is the peak width of component 1 and Wb2 is the peak width at the base for the component 2. The width at the base of each peak is the segment of the peak base intercepted by the tangent drawn to the inflection points on either side of the peak as shown in the figure. It should be noted that as resolution increases, so does the time required for the separation. Suppose you are getting this first peak at 4.4 minutes and you will get second peak at 5.2. It means the difference or the distance between these two peaks will increase, and you can say that you will get the better resolution of the component. Okay, this value denominator will increase. It means total RS will be increased. If this difference will increase, you will get the better resolution by this equation. Okay, as a chromatographer, you will have to balance the desire for the separation with that of time and material. Now coming to the resolution equation. Resolution equation make us capable to control the resolution obtained from a chromatographic separation. The fundamental resolution equation as shown here reflect that the resolution of any chromatographic column depends on the three important parameters. The first is selectivity, the second is efficiency, and the third is retention or capacity factor. You can see here this is the resolution equation. Rs is equal to 1 by 4 under root capital N, where capital N is your efficiency, multiply by alpha minus 1 by alpha, where alpha is the selectivity of the chromatographic system, multiply by K, by 1 plus K, where K is the retention or capacity factor of the chromatographic system. Now we will discuss all these parameters one by one. First, we will take retention or capacity factor, that is denoted by small k. The retention or capacity factor is a means of measuring the retention of an analyte on the chromatographic system. A high K value indicates that the sample is highly retained and has spent a significant amount of time interacting with the mobile phase. Means the component that has more affinity with the stationary phase will have more retention time, and the component that have lesser affinity with the stationary phase and have more affinity with the mobile phase will have lesser retention time. The retention time can be calculated by K is equal to Tr minus T naught by T naught. Now you know that Tr is the retention time of a component. If we will write this Tr as Tr1, it means we are talking about the retention time of component 1. So Tr is the retention time of any component. Now what is T naught? T naught is the retention time of component which is non-retained with the stationary phase and will elute out or come out from the column with the solvent front. What does it mean? Suppose we are using hexane as a mobile phase, okay, and we have a mixture of component which is a mixture of actually polar and non-polar components, and a compound that has greatest affinity with the hexane will elute out immediately when the solvent front pass the mixture of component. Okay, it means that component has zero affinity with the stationary phase and have maximum affinity with the hexane. So T naught is the detention time of non-retained component in the chromatographic system. It is generally appears as a noise. You can see here, this is a T naught. It is a indication that the non-retained compound is coming out with the solvent front at T naught time. Okay, so here K can be written as Tr minus T naught by T naught. If Tr is greater, then your K will also be greater. Suppose you are getting in a chromatographic system, you are getting T naught 0.1, okay, and then Tr at suppose 10 minutes. You are getting T naught as 1 minute and Tr as 10 minutes. So what will be the K value? 10 minus 1 by 1. Okay. Suppose your Tr value is less than 2. Then what will happen? You will get K is equal to 2 minus 1 by 1 is equal to 1. Means lesser the value of Tr, lesser the value of K, greater will be the value of Tr, greater will be the value of your retention factor. And T naught, as I already told you, this is the retention time of non-retained compound with the mobile phase. Now, as I already told you that we have used two types of chromatographic system. One is normal phase chromatography and the second is reverse phase chromatography. In normal phase chromatography, we generally use non-polar mobile phase relative to the stationary phase. So, in normal phase chromatography, your T naught will be the retention time of hexane, but in reverse phase chromatography, where we are using highly polar mobile phase and non-polar stationary phase, then we will use T naught as a retention time of uracil, that is a highly polar component. Now, finally, we can say that the retention factor is equal to the ratio of retention time of the analyte onto the column to the retention time of non-retained compound. The non-retained compound has no affinity for the stationary phase and elutes out with the solvent front at the time T naught, which is also known as the hold-up time or the dead time. So there are so many ways, as I already told you in the previous slide, there are so many ways to determine T naught that include the time at the baseline disturbance seen due to the differences in absorbance or refractive index as the injection solvent passes through the detector. The second is retention time of uracil. in case of reverse phase HPLC, and the retention time of hexane in terms of your normal phase chromatography. Now, the second factor is selectivity or separation factor, that is noted by alpha. The selectivity or separation factor is the ability of the chromatographic system to chemically distinguish between sample components. It is usually measured as a ratio of the retention factors small k of the two peaks in question and can be visualized as the distance between the apex of the two peaks. High alpha values indicate good separating power and a good separation between the apex of each peak. However, the alpha value is not directly indicative of the resolution. By definition, the selectivity is always greater than 1, as when alpha is equal to 1, the two peaks are co-eluting. That is, their retention factor values are identical. The greater the selectivity value, the further apart the apex of two peaks become. As the selectivity of the separation is dependent upon the chemistry of analyte, mobile and stationary phase, all of these factors may be altered in order to change or optimize the selectivity of an HPLC separation. Actually, what is selectivity? This is the ratio of your retention factor. Okay, if you are getting alpha values is 1, it means the retention factor of peak 1 will be exactly equal to the retention peak of peak 2. What does it mean? That both the components are co-eluting, means they are eluting at the same time. That means these two components are either same or we are not getting the clear separation of these components if these components are different. So we have to alter the mobile phase or stationary phase or temperature or the analyte. There are so many factors that affect the separation factor of your chromatographic peak. You can see here. Okay, this is the dead time. Okay, this is the retention time of peak 1. This is the retention time of peak 2. Then what will be the retention factor of this TR1? That should be K is equal to TR1 minus T0 by T0, and K2 will be TR2 minus T0 by T0. So if we will calculate the ratio of K1 by K2, we will get just a minute. I want to show you the equation which is overlapping by my image. Just a minute. Now, as I already told you that selectivity factor is the ratio of retention factor. You can see here from the equation alpha is equal to K2 minus K2 by K1. Okay, you can see on the graph that T2 is the dead time or retention time of non-retained component. TR1 is the retention time of component 1 and TR2 is the retention time of component 2. So, if we will apply the value of K1 and K2 over here, we will get TR2 minus T0 by T0 from the equation of retention factor, and retention factor for this peak will be TR1 minus T0 by T0. T0 will be cancelled and we will get TR2 minus T0 by TR1 minus T0. Okay. You should keep in mind that the K2 value will always be greater than K1. So here we will talk about the peak which we are getting after this one peak. Okay, we cannot use K1 by K2 over here. This should be very much clear to all of you. Now coming to the third and the last parameter used in the resolution equation, that is efficiency, and this is denoted by capital N. The efficiency of a chromatographic peak is a measure of the dispersion of the analyte band as it travels through the HPLC system and column. In an ideal world, chromatographic peaks would be pencil thin lines. However, due to dispersion effects, the peak take a familiar Gaussian shape. The plate number capital N is a measure of the peak dispersion on the HPLC column, which reflect the column performance. Efficiency is derived from an analogy of Martin and Sinch who linked column efficiency to fractional distillation, where the column is divided into theoretical plates. Each plate is the distance over which the sample components achieve one equilibration between the stationary and the mobile phase in the column. Therefore, the more the number of hypothetical plates available within the column, the more equilibration are possible, and then we will get the better resolution of our component. You can see here, higher values for the plate number n are expected for subsequent peaks within the chromatogram. Later eluting peaks that look broad in comparison to early eluting peaks may have higher plate count. If this is not the case, then your system contains a extra large column that volume. You can see here in the equation, capital N is equal to 16 TR by WB whole square, or this can be simplified as 5.54 within bracket TR by W half square. You can see here, this is a Gaussian shape peak. This should be actually the pencil thin line peak as per the hypothetical approach, but in practically we will get this shape of peak where WB is the peak width at the baseline, W half is the peak width at the half height of the peak, and here this is the retention time, this is the time of injection.